I'm protecting you.
If you don't listen to me, then why do I have to listen to you?
If a woman feels like she's getting emotionally abused by me, I'm gonna call myself out, cut the line, have a good day.
But why would you not want to resolve
Because
it?
I'm emotionally abusing you. I don't want to emotionally abuse a woman. You can go.
That's manipulative.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. I want to work things out. I'm here
Here's the
for
difference.
you.
I'm not saying you can go with actually wanting me to stay. I'm saying you can go because I want you the fuck out. It's not
why. I want to.
For context, this is Fousey, a very famous social media personality, and this was filmed live on his Kick, I believe. The girl he's having a disagreement with is his assistant. Well, she was. And live on his Kick stream in front of tens of thousands of people, she called him emotionally abusive.
Kitty Correo, you just looked at me in the eyes in front of my business and said that I'm emotionally abusing you. But you said I'm emotionally abusing you in front of my business, and then you call me manipulative because you're not fishing right now. You're not gaslighting right now.
Now, Fousey's a veteran in the YouTube prank game, so there's a good chance all of this is just staged. But regardless, this is a fantastic teaching opportunity, because there's mistakes he made here that a lot of men make in their relationships. First things first, her calling Fousey emotionally abusive on the stream was not a good move. She was playing checkers, not chess, and wasn't looking outside of herself and her immediate emotions. Which brings me to the second point. This is what I expect of women. This is not surprising to me. I mean, even in the video, she tries to justify the mistake by using her emotions.
Kitty Correo, you just looked at me in the eyes in front of my business and said that I'm emotionally abusing.
Because my emotions are valid. Well, unfortunately for her, emotions or not, she made a terrible mistake. Which, again, I expect. The math is mathing so far. Here's my biggest problem and my third point with this video. Fousey severely overreacted by terminating their relationship. That decision wasn't made out of pure logic or sound judgment. It was made out of reactionary emotion and fear. And I can prove it to you. Given Fousey's status and standing, it's not hard to see that he's in a position where he has a lot to lose. Just like a lot of creators out there, he is deathly afraid of cancellation. Fucking pussies. So it's not hard to see how all that contributed to his decision here. But even more importantly, Fousey clearly doesn't understand women. Because if he did, then he would know that as much as what she did was bad, it was kind of normal for women to do. He would have a lot more patience and understanding for what she did, and not immediately do what most men do when they don't know how to solve problems with their woman, which is go the nuclear option. Especially in this situation, he did not need to fire her. That was so unnecessary, dog. A lot of men have subscribed to that when anything goes wrong in a relationship, hit eject button mentality. The problem with that mentality is what you're doing is you're running away from opportunities to improve your skills of problem solving in relationships. If every time something comes up in a relationship, your immediate reaction is to blow the whole thing up and walk away, you're just going to be doing a lot of walking away relationship after relationship after relationship. You won't have any successful ones. Now, am I saying you should never be willing to blow up a relationship the moment it doesn't serve you anymore? Absolutely not. In fact, I'm a big believer that the glue that holds your relationship together is your willingness to leave. But yeah, from time to time, flash the nuclear warhead. Pause. Show her you're willing to go the nuclear option. Absolutely. But if you see yourself having to actually use the nuclear warheads, then you're doing something wrong. It's one thing if she pulls out a knife and you decide to win the fight by pulling out a gun. But a whole nuke? Come on, son. What Fousey should have done is let her know what she did was wrong, threaten to terminate the relationship, but then give her some kind of pathway back into his good graces. Make her do some extra work to apologize for her wrongdoings. That way she understands the significance of what she did and why it was bad and is punished for that behavior adequately, while simultaneously giving a pathway to redemption and as a result higher levels of compliance. That's how you build loyalty in people, by giving them ample opportunities to be grateful to be in your life. While women use arguments and disagreements in relationships as opportunities to get you to change your behavior for their benefit, you should be using them as an opportunity to strengthen the bond between the two of you and gain more compliance. It's been just your favorite scientist. Do with this information what you must.
If a woman feels like she's getting emotionally abused by me, I'm going to call myself out, cut the line, have a good day.
But why would you not want to resolve
Because
it?
I'm emotionally abusing you. I don't want to emotionally abuse a woman. You can go.
That's manipulative.
No, it's not.
So I made a video about this situation with Fousey and his former assistant. Specifically about how I believe Fousey mishandled the situation. And a lot of people disagreed with me. They believed that Fousey did the right thing by getting rid of his assistant that was accusing him in front of thousands of people of being emotionally abusive. And to summarize what I said in that video, I said that Fousey didn't do that from a place of logic and reasoning. He made a hasty, reactionary, emotional decision coming from a place of fear. He didn't take into account the fact that she was a woman who we all know are prone to doing some goofy shit from time to time. He was reckless and impatient, and it cost him an otherwise productive relationship. Now, some people don't agree with my assessment, so let's look at a few of these comments, okay? This one says, wrong, claiming abuse is a deal breaker because it can destroy a man's reputation, business, and life. Did you learn nothing from Johnny Depp? First of all, the Johnny Depp situation is around when I first started this account, and what did I say back then? It's Johnny Depp's fault, exactly. Because it's always the man's fault. The man is the leader of the relationship. The next one says, nah, I rather the nuclear option. She's not his girl. She's an assistant and he can get another. Well, last I heard, he was actually fucking her, but that's neither here nor there. Let's move on. Why should we have patience when they don't see it as patience? They'll just see it as them getting what they want. One, we're supposed to have more patience than women. That's what makes us better than them. Two, if women see your patience as weakness, guess whose fault it is? See, you're catching on. It's your job to communicate your patience as a virtue and a strength. Then there's this one. She's not a child, stop infantilizing women. She's an adult. Which goes great with this one. By the way, this is not like a hate comment. This guy actually agrees with me. He goes, great advice. I struggled with this until I started looking at my girl like I would if she was my daughter when things goes wrong. Women are kids. Now, this is a guy that actually has a woman in his life. You see the difference between how they talk? You see the difference? Because I can tell you from this comment here, Ricky Rose don't get no bitches. Anyone, just like Shot by Doyen over here, that actually gets bitches will tell you women are like children. That's a natural conclusion you come to when you actually have experience with women. Not gonna lie, this one down here, he had to fire her, no questions asked. This one broke my heart because it came from an account that I recognize as one of my OG followers. This guy has been here since the beginning of this account, and he clearly ain't learned a fucking thing. That's a damn shame. Have I taught you nothing? That's disappointing. Shinobi here says, they don't know what abuse is. Facepalm moment. Because you had it right there, my guy. You know women don't know what abuse is. So why are you taking them seriously? You talking BS, not everything should be worked out, let her go. This guy has no people skills. I'm not even going to waste my time on it. This guy says, you high-key just suggested responding, I'm guessing, to her emotional manipulation accusation by emotionally manipulating her. Yeah. You're talking to a guy that made an entire 9-episode series on how to manipulate women. Absolutely, that's what I'm telling you to do. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. You have to manipulate these hoes for their own good. Hell no, that ain't going to happen. You let a woman an inch, she will take a foot. What the fuck you talking about? Okay, let's use that analogy then. Women will try to take a mile if you give them an inch. So what made you think the solution would be to not give them an inch at all? Wouldn't it be better if you found a way to give them an inch and have them be grateful for that inch? Listen, no matter how you slice all these comments, they're all rooted in the same thing. These men are scared of women. A lot of men don't even realize it, but through their actions and their words, they subcommunicate an intrinsic fear they have for women. The truth is that women have no power over you unless you give it to them. And every time you make a hasty, fear-based decision, that's exactly what you're doing. Like I said in the other video, he should have calmed his ass down and used this as an opportunity to gain more compliance from her. Yeah, but that's manipulative. Yes, he should have manipulated her for her own good. Because think about it, who's gonna teach this goofy bitch not to say dumb shit like that on a live next time? She's learned nothing from this. And it was Fousey's responsibility to teach her that, and he fucking botched it. If you're wondering why the world is filled with goofy bitches right now, remember, it's your fault. With every goofy female behavior you fail to correct, you add to the number of goofy bitches on this planet. Remember that. Do with this information what you must. As much as I love sleep, I had to get out of bed really early that morning. I was working a job at the time that required me to get out of bed at 5 a.m. So I decided I would listen to some Patrice on the speakers while I brushed my teeth. At this point, it was a habit. You see, at this point in time, I was about 2 months removed from a particularly bad breakup. And about a week earlier, I had discovered Patrice O'Neal on YouTube. It was a video where he used his famous penguin versus shark analogy, and I was hooked. I felt like he used his analogy to perfectly describe all the mistakes I made in my previous relationship. So instead of spending all my spare time wallowing in self-pity, I decided I would just binge on Patrice O'Neal content, especially his famous Black Phillip show. On this particular morning, I had tuned into one of the episodes where Patrice would help out callers live on the air. And it was at the tail end of helping this particular caller with his relationship situation that he uttered the words that would change my life and perception forever. I'm literally looking at my reflection in the mirror while brushing my teeth, and I hear through the speakers Patrice's voice saying, "It is always the man's fault." My initial reaction was to laugh, but then slowly that laughter turned into silence, and then that silence turned into sadness. I remember just pausing my brushing, sitting down on the seat covers of the toilet right next to the sink there, and just staring at my phone. And once I stayed silent long enough to let the epiphany hit, I began to cry. And not like the cute, tears running down your face, like, no, I was bawling. That moment was the first time I had properly grieved my previous relationship. And even more importantly, that was the day Patrice gave me a very special gift. The gift of complete 100% responsibility within a relationship, and I will always be grateful to this man for that. R.I.P. Patrice was the first one that ever made me consciously realize that men hold all the power in a relationship. Therefore, anything that happens with regards to the relationship, whether it's its creation or its disintegration, is the man's fault. Now I understand, the word fault has a negative connotation to it. But for a second, can you open your minds for me and replace the word fault with reason? If you're the man, you're the reason the relationship happens in the first place, because no relationship can happen without the man say so. And if you're the reason the relationship started in the first place, then it only stands to reason that the relationship can't end without you. Hearing that I, as a man, had the power to create or destroy relationships as I so please, depending on my words and actions, was the most empowering thing I had heard up to that point. Mind you, I had always known to take responsibility for myself, but I didn't realize you could extend that responsibility to the relationships you create. And because you have responsibilities for these relationships, you have power over these relationships and the people in it. Because being a man is taking responsibility, and responsibility is power. Shit, that's not even an original thought. Uncle Ben said that shit. What do you say? With great power comes great responsibility, right? The problem that people don't realize is that they can really change out the words if they want it. With great responsibility comes great power. And if you think about it in real life, that makes perfect sense. That's how it works. Responsibility and power are inextricably linked. Now, I'm not oblivious to the fact that since the beginning of third wave feminism, women have always tried to give men 100% of the responsibility and 0% of the power. But unfortunately for feminists, in real life, when shit gets real, when shit hits the fan, you cannot separate power from responsibility. In real life, in everyday life, the person with the most power in any circumstance or situation also holds the most responsibility, and vice versa. So when men like Reaper do their utmost best to run away from responsibility, all I see is a man that's doing his utmost best to avoid an opportunity for power. The way you give excuses for their childish behavior, the way you always say it's on the man even when no human being is 100% controllable, and it doesn't make sense. Reaper, that's literally me trying to make you more powerful. Infantilizing women is quite literally one of the quickest ways to gain authority over them, both psychologically and socially. You get it now? I don't want women taking any of the responsibility because I don't want them sharing the power with me. You're calling me a white knight? First of all, I prefer the term Captain Save-A-Ho. I've called myself that multiple times. But second of all, I'm the villain here. I'm literally telling you to put the binky in their mouth, to assert yourself as that level of authority over them, so that you can tell them to go to bed. It's their bedtime. Oh my God, I don't know how else I'm gonna say this shit. And then look at this lame attempt at psychoanalyzing me. Your self-worth and identity stems from the illusion of the control you have over them. They have more power than you think. Reeps. Can I call you that, Reeps? Reeps. Come on, Reeps. First of all, I take responsibility for my women, which is why I control them. And not because I'm some crazy tyrant that they have to listen to. When you assert yourself as a man to them, they will trust you with 100% of themselves. They can trust you to take on that. Reeps, I know it's not something you've ever experienced before, but you gotta trust me on this one. And yes, I can definitely assert that the men who don't deal with women correctly are pussies. Because ask anyone that deals with women, they always come with fucking bullshit. If you think you can just go out there and find a woman that won't bring a certain amount of baggage to you, then you might be even more inexperienced than I thought. I always say this, I'm gonna say it again. Whether we like it as men or not, part of a man's job in a relationship is to save a woman from herself. Because whether they realize it or not, they are in dire need of our salvation. It's been Jace, your favorite scientist. Do with this information what you must.